Hey folks, welcome back to Webb Military Museum. I'm Gary Webb, and today we're going to talk about the two cases on the Vietnam artifacts. Everything in these two cases are named to someone. Let's start on this side, and you notice we have General Westmoreland's uniform, the MACV commander for 5 years. I do have two photographs of him wearing it. A lot of people say, how did you get Westmoreland's uniform? Well, this is pretty easy. He lived in Charleston, South Carolina, 100 miles north of Savannah. 25 years ago, a hurricane came through, missed us, hit Charleston, and his house on the Battery got flooded, and he actually had a garage sale. A lot of this was obtained by then. This particular Green Beret uniform belonged to Donald Davis. Donald Davis was part of the Sante Raid, the raid to free American POWs at the Sante prison. He is featured in the book The Raid, and obviously you see his patch, a very rare patch. Rick Swafford, another great uniform named to Tunnel Rat. You can see his rat patch on, and he's also featured in the book The Tunnels of Cu Chi. Many photographs of him there. As we move further, Bob Hope's jacket. These are his jackets he wore on his 68-69 tour of Vietnam. I obtained this from a helicopter pilot who told me he would fly Bob Hope's publicist to the next base and tell the commanding colonel, if you want Hope to wear something, make up 6 or 7. And he'd actually wear them, throw them on the ground. This gentleman, I think, had 8 or 9 pairs, sets, and he sold me these two. And I bought this long before the internet, so when the internet came up, when I googled Bob Hope USO Vietnam, all these pictures of him came up wearing the jackets. I also got multiple pictures of him and autographs of him. I love the Sabre pilot's helmet because I bought that from a gentleman and it had his name on it, William James Bashir. William James Bashir was shot down over Laos in May of '69. Attempts to rescue him failed, and he was never repatriated, so he's still MIA. But he flew out of Cam Ranh Bay, South Vietnam, with the 12th Tactical Fighter Wing as a major. My father was a major at Cam Ranh Bay with the 12th Tactical Fighter Wing in May of '69. I'm sure my father knew the gentleman there. A few ladies' dresses. After Westmoreland was relieved of command, Crichton Abrams took over, and his secretary is Arlene Price. And this is one of her mini skirts out of South Vietnamese camel. That's timeless. You can wear that today. As we move along, in this particular case, I have a great Green Beret grouping to Larry Dring. Larry Dring was a very well-known Green Beret. He lived in Somerville, South Carolina. Sadly, he had 5 tours of Vietnam, 5 Purple Hearts, and I believe 10 years after returning, he actually fell out of a tree when he was cutting a limb off and killed himself. Tragedy. He is buried in Beaufort. This particular uniform is also named, and I have a photo of him and Spiro Agnew in Vietnam. Some other interesting uniforms is this grouping that belonged to Herbert Lloyd. Herbert Lloyd was a private to a general, 18 medals for valor, super soldiers, extremely rare uniforms. Since I've had his uniform grouping in for the last 3 or 4 years, I've had 8 people come to my museum and said they knew him or served with him in Vietnam. Movie star good looks. This particular uniform right here belonged to my friend Dale Hardy. He's one of my poker buddies. He did give me his uniform and his medals. Great guy. We also have interesting things you might not be able to see, but the issued tomahawk, extremely rare item in Vietnam. The government contracted a man named Magrena to make 4,000. They shipped them to Vietnam and only issued 200 to the 101st Airborne. And then they said, that's a bad idea, and they decided to destroy the tomahawks and try to get the ones back. I've never seen another one, but this belonged to a man named Gary Peperick, and I was able to obtain it from him. Again, the Vietnam section has great stuff. It's all named to war heroes that are still alive today, many of them, and we love having our Vietnam vets come in. All right, we'll move to the next case.